Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, it's another public domaination dogfight 1v1 and jump roll.
I'm gonna go with Public Domania, just like I always do. That's the better title.
Have you ever been in a dogfight?
You mean like in an airplane?
Yeah.
No.
No?
My God, I've only flown commercial. That'd be horrible.
Have you ever been, that was my next question. Stepping back one, have you ever been in a single engine plane before?
In a single engine plane, no.
Oh.
No, I've been in a prop plane, but not a single engine
Right.
plane.
Well, if you fly out of Charleston, you're flying in a prop plane.
Well, I've never flown out of Charleston,
Yeah.
but I flew out of like Louisville, I think it was. No, it was Kansas City to Louisville. I think's where it was, and so that was, and we took like a non-jet.
They call it a puddle jumper.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And what a puddle! There's nothing. There's nothing lies in between those two areas. Just
Yeah.
puddle right over.
Now, on the other hand, jump and roll.
Wait a minute. Back up a minute. Have I ever been in a dog fight?
Yeah.
Who the hell are you gonna ask that question? They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I've been in a bunch of them.
Well,
it's people in NAM or something.
Yeah.
Have you been in one?
no, I'm not old enough to have been in one.
Well, me either. I'm not. I wasn't around when NAM was going on.
Yeah, you were.
I was like one at
Hey,
the end
man.
of that year. A dog fight. Have you ever seen a dog fight, like between two actual dogs?
Now, that's a good question.
Or have you ever been to a dog or cock fight?
You mean like a Michael Vick situation?
That's right, yeah. 'Cause that's a thing
it's a
around
thing?
here, and it was a big thing back when I was a kid. It's not so much now.
You know, I think I've seen a couple dogs sort of be aggressive to each other, but I don't think I've ever seen an all-out
And
fight.
I've seen the dogs go at it. You know, they get pissed off. They usually doesn't.
Well, you
get
know what happens
nasty.
when you let the dogs out.
They bark.
Yeah.
And they make an annoying tune.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no. I've played a lot of games where you were in dogfight. I say Wings. I love that game, but no, I don't plan ever being in one.
Now, have you ever been to a Michael Vick style dogfight?
No, I love dogs.
Well, me too. I wouldn't
No.
want any part of it.
I know, I'm there, but I mean, way before Michael Vick was born, there were dog fights around.
Oh, sure.
And they're still fighting roosters around. I mean, I go past the place of one of my roots that have my buddy he's from way out in the sticks. He's like, see that area right there? He's like, that's all training roosters right there. And that's
Yeah. Cockfights are still big in Thailand too.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
just unfortunate.
you know, everybody's got their thing.
I guess so. Now, when I think about jump and roll, I think about jump roping. And I think about Aaron Dowdy in gym class going to town with the jump rope. Did you ever do the jump rope for heart?
I did.
Mhm.
I did do that. And that did not help anybody. Let's put it that way. What I think of it is, remember those guys? You remember it back? This is before you were probably conscious of what was going on. But they did this thing called the double Dutch jump rope stuff.
That is still, when I started teaching
Yeah.
in the inner city, up in PG County, Maryland, girls still play double Dutch on the playground all day long.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That and breakdancing sort of came together.
Mhm.
You know. And you had, and it was you had girls doing breakdancing and jump rope, and the boys doing both. It was I like that.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. You know, you ever heard that song, the Double Dutch Bus? Remember that song? No, look it up.
Double Dutch is a weird name when you think about it. Where I know you got two ropes, but where's the Dutch? Where's the Netherlands connection?
Man, I don't even know. Maybe the Netherlands, that's where they did it first.
Maybe so.
The inner cities of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Something tells me they're a lot different than the inner cities of America.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Well, Aaron, it's been a busy week in the world of Amiga news. I've been snooping around the corners of the internet.
All right, I've seen some news this week. What do you got, Boatster?
And this is what I found. Our first story comes to us from YouTube. This is a video that just was released this past week. This is from the Laird's Lair.
I love this guy.
I've seen some of his stuff before.
Yeah.
This is the story of the Commodore 9000. A lot of people think that the Amiga was Commodore's first 16-bit computer, but those people are wrong.
Ooh, even I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, the Commodore 900 was going to be the competitor to Atari's line of 16-bit computers.
Which could have been the Amiga.
Right.
That's funny how close that could have
Isn't
been.
it? It's a crazy, crazy story. It never gets old.
No.
So the Commodore 900 basically has the same shape as I'm going through here to try and find a picture of one. Here we go. It basically is the same shape as like an Amiga 2000.
2000, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar.
One of the things that I like about it is it has an MSX style D-pad right there on the keyboard.
Those are always death, though, aren't they?
Yeah, you're not going to want to be playing a lot of games
I'd
with
say,
those.
I've noticed now, and maybe he's always there, but I've noticed here recently that Laird's Lair has been doing some more of these documentary style shows.
Mm-hmm.
I watched one he did the other day. I actually can't remember what it was. It was really good. But this looks great. I have to say, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this computer. Look at that. It looks just like it. And it's got the same font and everything.
Yeah. So make sure you check that out.
I'm sure the super geniuses that occasionally listen to this show will probably know all about it. We're the last ones to the party. But I'd say I've never heard of that. It's fascinating.
It is. It's very cool. Another check-in with one of our community members. Tenmark is back this week with a joint venture with another fan of the show, Pixel Vixen. They get together and do some personal paint. Now, personal paint sort of lives in the shadows of the behemoth that is Deluxe Paint. But personal paint still quite a piece of software in its own right. Do you know the Amigos connection with personal paint?
I don't.
Well, personal paint was actually designed by the guy that does Amiga Forever, Mike.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he was the programmer.
No kidding.
I interviewed him about this. We went deep in the weeds with personal paint at Amiga Ireland. Unfortunately, the audio was infamously lost from that interview.
That stinks.
But yeah, if you are at all interested in personal paint and how it might stack up against D-Paint, make sure you check out this joint venture between Tenmark and Pixel Vixen.
As I watch this, here's a quiz for you, pop quiz.
Okay.
Who do you think's doing this art? Is this Tenmark or is this Pixel Vixen? Who do you think it might be?
You think Tenmark has this kind of ability? No. Tenmark's busy fixing his Amiga 2000.
I had to say it. But hey, that's great. I haven't seen this yet. This looks great.
Yeah.
And Tenmark and Pixel Vixen, they're like going crazy. It's crazy time.
Now I did
watch this.
This is not directly related to the Amiga, but it's such a wacky story that I had to feature it on the show. On this week's edition of the Retro Man Cave, he goes into, he does these things called retro tea breaks, where he interviews various luminaries on the show.
I never miss them. And in fact, I watched the one in question.
Right.
And this guy was acting weird.
And of course, one of the, when you think about the Amiga demo scene, probably top 3 most famous demos would be this one. What's it called? Jesus on E?
Yeah.
Is that right? You've got the one with the girls dancing around. You've got like that other one, and then you've got this one. So, Jesus on E, the music was composed by this guy named Echo. Okay, and Retro Man Cave, while at a show at an expo sort of deal, a con, as it were, that's a good word for it. He saw this guy claiming to be Echo up there on stage spinning his tunes. So he's like, hey, you want to come be on my show? And the guy was like, yeah. And so the guy, the Echo, turns out he came on Neil's show. And after Neil put it up, there were a bunch of people that were like, I know Echo. This is not Echo. And it turns out they were right. Neil did some research, and it turns out this guy has been selling himself as Echo, as the composer of Jesus on E for who knows how many years. And it's not him. It's just some other dude.
And what's interesting is Neil talked about how he did a remix of the actual song in question. It was awesome. So this guy clearly has skills, and clearly they paid the bills.
Right.
He's getting booked. So I'd say that's the end of him.
Yeah.
I will say, this goes for Pixel Vixen and Tenmark and Ravi and Dan, all these guys, Lafarius. These guys are pros, and Neil is a super duper pro.
Yeah.
Slick as anything. And I will say, I said just a quick note. that I thought you did a great job handling this, because this could have went south in a hurry.
Oh yeah.
And one thing about Neil, he does not. He was always straight up, and he said he came right out.
And I feel like he was very charitable to this guy
He
too.
was, because I thought it was. I thought he might. I mean.
He'd have every reason to
We might have let it to boom
him.
on this guy if he had done something like that to us. Hey, another reason not to do interviews, eh?
Right.
But yeah, Neil, this is pretty interesting, and this shows you what kind of guy Neil is as well. Because like I said, he didn't bury this guy, and he also told his people, don't go out and kill this guy. He's clearly, this guy probably has some issues, and clearly the guy's got some talent. So if anything good comes out of it, maybe this guy will be like, listen, I apologize.
I'm the artist formerly known as that guy.
I mean, he can be the Bunnyman.
Right.
How about that? He can come out. I'll allow it. 'Cause I am the Devil Bunny. He can come out and he can do his own thing. Just stand on your own merits and talents, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's my message. But I thought it was well handled. Well
Absolutely.
handled.
All right. This is a video that I came across on the internet that I thought was really cool. This is a guy that I've never heard of before. This is G Peter 7 Do-It-Yourself Mods.
All right.
Okay. This guy is powering his Amiga 1200 with a Pico ATX PSU.
Yeah, I'm familiar with those.
Okay, so this thing is an ultra tiny PSU. It's got a little built-in fan and everything.
Yeah.
And he slots this bad boy right into the 1200.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you. Why is anybody doing anything else but using these things?
Well, the Pico is, at first, I heard about this thing a while back, and I was like, to me, this is an unknown commodity here. I want to see how it goes. I mean, it's so small.
It's tiny.
Now, one thing you need to consider is that a lot of the classic machines, and the Amiga in particular, or a C64, they don't have huge demands on power.
Right.
It's not like a modern PC where the thing you could heat up the whole house with it. The Amiga is not going to use a ton of juice. And the Pico really is I've not had one. I've seen them used. I'm trying to think of the first person I saw that did this. It may have been, oh boy, I can't remember. The other lady that's really big in the Amiga scene.
Oh, Mad Lemon?
I think may have been her that I saw putting one of these together. But it's an interesting idea, and something I looked up. I remember looking up the cost for these, and I was like, I don't know if it's worth it, at the time, because I also have that idiotic alternate use that we did. But hey, it looks good, and I can think of a lot of uses for it. And by the way, just before we move off this, I want to note that the man who's doing this has great taste in joysticks.
I did notice that as well. I saw that grubby, grimy thing hanging out there under the case, and I was like, boy, that looks like Aaron's.
Don't lie to the people, Bo.
That thing.
Don't lie to the people. You're a believer. You've got one. You've got the exact same one.
No, I don't have the Ergo. Dead flesh sticks to that thing like Velcro on Velcro.
Listen to me. You have one just like it. And you badmouth, and then you didn't tell the people when you went up and bought your own.
And finally this week, Aaron, one more story. I left the best for last. There is a new clone board in town. We've seen the clone board of the 1200. Our Amigos Game Selection Committee member Figgy CTZ owns one that he recently got up and running. But now it's time for a new clone, the Amiga 3000 clone board, built from the ground up by this guy, Chucky Gang.
Now, is this another one of these deals where you have to take the chips off another board?
That's exactly right. So he's taken a 3000 and he's altered the design of the board to take off things that he deemed unimportant and add things that are.
Man, I'm glad you didn't do this project.
Oh my gosh,
I wouldn't have
been able to get off Jump Street with something like this. This is no good.
First thing you'd cut AGA, gone.
That's right, just saw it off.
Floppy drive gone, just everything gone.
RF modulator.
Now, didn't we have someone in one of our buddies in Discord just finished up a project similar to this, didn't they?
That's right. Figgy CTZ just got done with this.
How does he have time to do this stuff? He's a machine.
Yeah, I don't know.
That looks pretty good though, Boat. If it's a shame you have to, rob Peter to pay Paul, or as they say.
Well, the way I see it is perhaps there are so many non-working, 3000s out there that you can sort of cobble one together from non-working parts. But can you imagine how long it would take to individually test each one of these components?
Yeah.
Just even before you put them on the board?
I'm not that patient.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be honest with you.
I couldn't.
And also
Couldn't
years
imagine.
of doing stuff like this, and also the fact that my hands are shot. I couldn't. My soldering days on that level of that size are pretty much over.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, it's very cool. All right, Aaron, that is the end of this week's site updates. Why don't we take a look at this week's Dreamcatcher report? What's been going on over?
DK was fairly quiet this week. All we really had was a posted script from one of his videos. I do urge you, if you don't follow the DK on YouTube, and you're really into some wild, wacky fun, he's your boy. I suggest you go check him out. And he's also having a look at Wings of Fury. Now, I believe on ARG, I think I played this on ARG with the Brent on the 68,000.
Okay.
Back in the day.
I've played a lot
it
of
on
this.
the Amiga.
Yeah, this is a great
bunch
game.
of times. And it's funny, the Japanese version of this is particularly interesting. It's a little bit different. Yeah. Oh, wow, no, what version was that? It just scrolled by. Is that like
Maybe it's C64?
See, that I've not played. That's kind of wacky. But DK, he doesn't mess around. He's got the full deal. But like I said, if you haven't got his video, check him out. And he's always got. And there's tons of videos that come up that he doesn't have scripts for, or are different than what he posts on everythingamiga.com, and he gets into some crazy stuff.
Absolutely. All right, well, that does it for this week's site updates and Amiga news. Aaron, you ready for public domaination?
I am, my man. What do you think should lead the dance this
Let's
week?
start with jump and roll, shall we?
Jump and roll. Now, we had a touch on this, was it 2 years ago, Bo?
I think 2 years ago at Amigathon we played some jump and roll.
I'm wondering if the version we played, apparently this game comes with several different soundtracks, or someone's modified or added something.
Really? Interesting.
Because now my memory is not good, as you know, Bill, but I don't remember the music being the same as when I played it this time around. I watched the video, and the music in the video was like the one I was playing.
Okay, well maybe even you and I played different versions.
Yeah, it could have been. Again, both these games are public domain. Run out and get them, freebies, and go get them right now. So Jump and Roll was released in '90. Excuse me. Came on an Amiga Action disc. This was on. Let me see if I've got the actual. This was on Amiga Fun issue 35. There's a magazine book called Amigo. It was on Amigo issue 2. How do we not know about that?
It only lasted for maybe that was the closing issue.
And then Amiga Action issue 48. This is available, so a freebie. And this was developed by D-Light Somewhere in Time Disc Magazine. That's how it's listed here.
Okay.
The fellow that put this together, we had a couple guys here. The coder was a guy named the Blitter King.
The Blitter King.
And then
it's kind of like the Rat King on Ninja Turtles.
So I'm guessing that Somewhere in Time was a digital magazine that these guys were involved in. That's my guess. The coder was a fellow called the Copper Kid.
Really?
Real
Weird.
name.
The Copper Kid.
I don't know. And the graphics boy guy, I shouldn't call him graphics boy.
Well, it's like in the movies, they still have terms with boy and then like best boy.
I'm just gonna say his name is listed as Warstein-Hauser.
Sounds German.
Yeah, I think all these fellas are German. And the musician, which I want to single out, Libby in Paradise with a Z.
Libby in Paradise?
Libby in Paradise.
Libby in Paradise.
He's trying to accuse him of being a Libyan?
Yeah, where you living? Libby in Paradise?
Libyan. You don't
That's where I've been spending most of my life.
And you don't hear the terms Libya and Paradise thrown together too often.
Definitely not.
I've never been there though, so it might be great.
Now's not a good time.
I'll tell you something. Just like you think every place is, you hear all this stuff on the news. Just a little sidetrack here. My buddy was was over in the Middle East when Desert Storm was going on, so the job. And he would, and he's like, I'm like, listen, what's it like to be out in the desert and stuff like Afghanistan? He'd say, listen, he's like, yeah, you got your desert, and then you've got fields of the most beautiful terrain I've ever seen. Mixed bag.
Sure.
So you never know.
You never know.
So anyway, this ran on anything. You were good to go. So what is jump and roll? Well, you're a ball,
Yep.
Fair enough.
An Amiga ball.
And you roll. And you you roll the ball, and then you jump over gaps. And while this is happening, you listen to awesome tunes.
Well, that's debatable.
Well, no. Well, go ahead, please.
Well, if you like your Eurodance trash, if you like your demo scene music.
You don't think the music fits the game?
I turned it off. I couldn't take it. I wanted to tear my ears off. Especially the loser theme, when you lose the game and you hear that. It's like slow dirge synth.
Wait, you lost. It's supposed to be sad.
No, I want to hear boop-a-doop-a-doo and then start again.
Every game is not like Mr. Do.
And it's a bad thing.
Listen, please lead the dance here. Tell us what your thoughts on Jump and Roll were.
Okay.
Because I thought you liked it when we played it on the show.
No.
I'm gonna go back and watch that. I know you thought. I'm sure you said you liked it.
I've played tons of games like this before.
Okay.
The games, I think Trailblazer is one that appeared on several 8-bit platforms. This game is way too hard from the get-go. Okay. What they should have done was made the first stage about half the length of what they did to give you a sense of accomplishment. I never beat the first stage in this game, and I played it a lot.
I did.
Well, you're better than I am.
I didn't beat the second stage.
This game is so frustrating because instead of building, this is game design 101, okay?
Yeah.
Don't introduce all the concepts in the first stage, okay? Have you ever played a game called Super Monkey Ball?
I have.
Okay?
I love that game.
That's an example of an excellent implementation of this style of play, okay? You're a ball, you're rolling around, you're trying to get to the goal.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that the Sega designed team that produced Monkey Ball did a better job scaling its difficulty than the couple guys from Germany that made this public domain
This is
game.
the same false argument that people make about Japanese game design studios all the time. They assume that there's 20 or 30 people working on these games. Guess how many people were on the Super Mario Brothers design team?
I saw a little chart about
3.
that.
The teams were just as small as these Amiga teams. The difference is talent.
You think that the team that did Monkey Ball had only 2 or 3 people on it?
I have no idea, but I'm saying that
it's a moot point. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm not just fighting to be fighting. It ramps up its difficulty pretty quickly.
Right. What they should have done was chop the stages up to where each stage for like the first 4 stages is just like, hey, this is a thing that does a thing, so you can learn about what it does. When you run over red, you get slower. When you go over purple, your controls reverse. Blah 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 blah.
That's the one that gets you.
Yeah.
And
so not only does it let you kind of the thing about it is this is at its heart as a racing game. You're competing to get the fastest time. Okay, there's score. I'm pretty sure a score means nothing. It's all about the fastest time. So what I would suggest is make these like time trials, like the game Trials. You know, this is another kind of stunt racing game where the tracks are not tremendously long. In fact, a lot of times the tracks are really short, especially at the beginning, but you're trying to get the best time. It would have been so much better if they would have cut the length of the tracks, made more tracks, and really make you want to go back and see if you can hone and get the best time that you can on each one of these shorter tracks.
you could do that. I mean, I think part of the difference is, this is one of those games that you can't quite fairly judge in 2019, in my opinion, because this would have been quite a visual treat in 1990.
I'm not denying the visuals at all. The visuals have nothing to do with my complaints.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong, but hear me out here. Sometimes visuals will take you further than they should. Okay? I mean, listen, I love Dragon Slayer more than anybody, right? Mm-hmm. And the visual art representation is beautiful and gorgeous, and the gameplay is not that great, right? Obviously. But the visuals, I mean, if somebody put a game out that like that now, probably wouldn't do that well. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to look at it from when it was released, and that would at least give you some idea why people like it. Now, I'm going to disagree with you on the music. I thought the music worked.
I mean, the music is fine.
I know. I can't understand why you don't like that.
The music while you're playing is okay. The music when you die is so horrible. It's like one of those things out of Shadow of the Beast. You know, the Shadow of the Beast when you die music and you get that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's not what you want. That doesn't inspire you to try again. It inspires you to turn it off.
Well, that's some of the best music of all time. That little guitar riff. Are you kidding me? How the hell are you're in the music career and you're bad-mouthing Shadow of the Beast music?
Yeah,
I'm calling the county. Something's gone wrong.
Okay.
Anywho, I like the music. I like the visuals, and I like the fact, I like the feeling you get. Like I said, it's a good package. I think that Libyan Paradise did a good job, and when they melded this together, I thought it was cool looking. I don't know. I think it's just kind of, I like these kind of trippy games. You know, I'm like you. I've played it before. Now I wouldn't directly compare this to Monkey Ball, but I get what you're saying. I think now one thing I would have done, the reverse. Anytime a game has those reverse controls, get that out.
Another thing that they could have done to make this a little bit easier on the beginner is whenever you're rolling over a certain color, maybe just put what that color does up at the top, right underneath your time or something like that. Just put slow or put reverse.
No, you can't do that.
Because like I said, when you introduce all of these mechanics right off the bat in level 1, it's just incredibly frustrating. I hate it when I spend half an hour playing a game and I can't beat the first level.
I will say this, and we've seen this in other public domain games. A lot of times you're going to get this game and you're not going to have a manual. Now, granted, this came on, and I will give them a benefit of the doubt since this came on magazines. Inside, it probably. And so, yes, would it be nice? And we've played several that had all the instructions like on the screen. I think Hangar 18 had that, among others. You know, I don't think you could fault them for that. I mean, technically, it sort of had a manual, kind of, in a magazine form, one would assume.
Maybe.
So, I mean, and you can't expect these guys on this level to be putting all the instructions right up on the screen. I mean, that's a lot to ask.
It would be one word.
That's a lot.
Slow.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what Arkanoid did.
Yeah,
Laser. Slow.
Well, they just assume you're going to figure it out pretty quick.
So now this game, I do appreciate the fact that it has a high score, screen. Although I don't think it's persistent. But that's cool. I mean, I normally like this kind of game. These days they call them endless runners.
Endless roller. Although this one does. Yeah, this one sort of
endless
has
roller. It's fine. But the difficulty was too much right off the bat. And I wasn't a big fan of the music. I also didn't like the fact that your ball didn't seem to roll at the speed that it should have. Like, it seemed like like there is some variation on how fast you're moving versus how fast your ball is spinning.
Yeah.
But it doesn't match up correctly. So like your ball it's like it has two speeds. It has like slow rolling and then faster rolling. But your actual acceleration has like 10 different clicks on it. And so like really when you're going at top speed, that ball should be rolling so fast that you can no longer see the grid pattern. So that annoyed me too.
You know, I don't look at this game. We've actually looked at some really top level PD stuff. We looked at, and I'm talking about Alien Fish Finger. I'm talking about Hangar 18, and to a certain degree, what we're going to be talking about on the show. And I don't think this is a bad game, but this is one of those games you load up when you got 10 minutes before you head out to get in the car to drive somewhere. It's a kill some time special. This would be right at home in any mobile device. You know what I'm saying? You could put it right on there, get your stylus out, and go to work. If you look at it in that vein, I think it's perfectly fine. But I don't think it's any great shakes. I think the standout of it, aside from the visuals, is the tunes, which I like way more than you. But otherwise, I mean, there's not much to say about it. I did a little research on it. There wasn't a whole lot to be had, but and I never got this far. But there's no ending screen in this game. At the end of stage, get this, Bo, you'll love this. At the end of stage 8, the track just ends, and you fall down into black emptiness until a timer runs out.
Yeah, it's typical Amiga design.
You get a game roller. What's that mean? It's PD. And then you get your high score. So it's a lot like when it's when you get to the crash screen on Donkey Kong. You just die over and over, and then they put your name in.
It's like when Jim Power wraps his arm around his girlfriend.
I love it. This actually got some reviews, believe it or not. The people in Lemon liked it more than you. They gave it a 7.56.
That's a low score for Lemon, man.
No, it's not.
Anything below an 8 is a low score.
It's because we don't play
on Lemon.
horrible games. Trust me, go in there and look. There's plenty of horrible games that get horrible scores. And there are plenty of games that have no score. Amiga Power gave this a 4 out of 5 in September of '92. So this is well after it's been released.
That's
hey,
crazy.
listen, this is clearly a 4 out of 5 game. And then the one in December of '92 gave it an 80%. So I think that, that's about right, 80, somewhere in that. It's a C game. It's not a, it's not at the upper echelon of the stuff we've played in public domania, but, it's okay.
We got some reviews from our Discord community. Graham Vebke says, a Trailblazer clone that plays much better, and he adds slower, than the C64 version of the game. Has more colors and more modern music. Trouble is, it's still very uninspiring like the original Trailblazer, and I didn't enjoy this or the original. But cheer up, you made it to the end of this review. 5 out of 10. Chris Fold says Jump and Roll is a poor man's Trailblazer. It fails to bring anything new to the table or add any 16-bit shine. 4 out of 10. And finally, Pixels says, a really solid Trailblazer clone and probably the PD game I'll come back to the most. With no version of Trailblazer on the Amiga, this was unique to the platform, and being coded by a demo scene guy meant smooth as butter graphics and Eurotrash music. Oh, wait a minute, I added that. And quality sound. A bug means you can't actually complete the game, but I never got that far anyway. 8 out of 10.
I think you need to reevaluate your musical taste a little bit. I think you're killing this game.
You're right.
There's not a darn thing wrong with that soundtrack. It's the best part of the whole game.
Well,
sorry.
It might be.
I liked it. I thought it was a decent little game. I'd say it was a pleasant distraction.
Let's turn the page. Literally, you just
I
turned
literally
the page.
did it.
And look at our next game, Dogfight.
Now to say we had a cup of coffee with this game would be we drank the whole pot and then started just snorting the grounds. That's right. We played the crap out of this very recently, so we were very, very familiar with everything about Dogfight. So let's talk about Dogfight. This also came out in '90.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, '90 was a great year.
This was developed by Richard Ling. Now I tried.
Who's Richard Linklater?
No, you're thinking Art Linklater, but I don't know who that is. So,
okay.
Anyway, Richard Ling, all I could find out is he's from Australia. That's all I know.
That's all you need to know.
I couldn't find, I looked. Because it's funny, if you nose around, you can find interviews. I couldn't find nothing. I couldn't find nothing about this guy. So if anybody knows anything about Mr. Ling, or Mr. Ling happens to be listening, we'd love to talk to you. 2 players simultaneous. As far as I could tell, this was all Mr. Ling did. This is it. But if you're going to go out and go on a good one. ECS, OCS. Now, this only is a 2-player game, so you're going to take some points away from the fact that you can't play a single-player game of this. This was made on Amos, the game development programming language. And we've seen some good games made with Amos. We've seen some bad games made with Amos, and everything in between.
It is really interesting how... again, it all comes down to the programming, because there are some people, when you read EAB, they say, well, this game definitely has an Amos look, meaning it in a derogatory fashion. But to me, this game looks beautiful.
I don't see it. I think it's great. Yeah. So what do you do in this game? This is a game where you are dueling biplanes, just like it's World War I.
Right.
You've got what's probably a Fokker, and maybe you've got a Sopwith Camel. But that's just me making stuff in my mind.
Those are words.
Those are actual.
I know,
those are
they're
planes.
real planes.
Hey, listen, wings. It taught me everything I know. So what do you do in this game? Well, number one, you and your buddy or your enemy. You start on separate ends of the screen. This is sort of a choplifter style scrolling background that you can go all the way across and then come all the way back. And when you are far from your opponent, you will have your own screen, and when you're near him, the screen will kind of meld into one long screen. Which
it's a very cool
that effect works perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just as impressive, coding wise, as anything else in the game.
It works. It works absolutely flawlessly.
I wish that more games. Think about all the games that for all classic systems that you're stuck either one or the other. Either you both have to be on the same screen, and that it just kind of hurries you up if you fall behind, or conversely, it's always dual screen.
Yeah.
This is a PD game that manages to combine both.
It's
very
funny,
impressive.
It's funny. We were just talking about Wings of Fury a minute ago, and Wings of Fury has a similar view, and similarly difficult taking off. So once the game kicks up, you have to actually ably leave the runway in your airplane. Now,
which is easier said than done.
Cunningly, both sides of the battle have decided to put a tree at the end of the runway, and so you've got to gain just enough speed to get up over this tree. Now, it's funny. I was reading some people talking about this game, and apparently there are ways you could actually shoot backwards and do all kinds of cockney stuff that I never could figure out how to do. So, what is the gameplay? Well, if you've ever played Atari's Combat, the airplane version, you're not too far off. If that was on a scaling screen with gravity.
No, I mean that's I don't know. I don't find that an apt comparison at all.
The combat, the airplanes.
It's a top-down view. It's not a side-on view.
No, not the airplane one. It's not top-down. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. Two planes are shooting at each other.
Right,
that's my point.
That's every game where two planes shoot at each other. Have you played Ace Combat 6?
No.
It's basically this game.
Okay, fine. You come up with something then. I thought that was perfectly
This game
fine.
is like Biplane Duel for the Amiga.
Okay. Anyways, so you drive around and try to shoot your opponent. Now, that in itself is pretty fun. And you can also go and blow up your buddy's base if you want to, which is that's always a good time.
There's a blimp that flies around.
There's also a sub that appears.
Gets in your face.
Now, you can shoot this stuff, but it doesn't really make a difference, does it?
But it's fun.
It's fun. The graphics are sort of a lush forest. And in the background, there's a lazy river and there's mountains.
Beautiful 3D, pseudo 3D, forced perspective background.
Right. It's a beautiful cloudy day, but not too cloudy.
The clouds also scroll on the screen, which is very impressive. I mean, it's not very impressive, but I think
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks very good.
It's a colorful game. This would have been right at home. I mean, of course, you have to have a one-player version, but you could have put this on any of the little handheld systems at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe the NES, something like that would have been okay. I mean, I don't know. I've never played Balloon Fight, but I'm sure it's sort of in the same ballpark.
Balloon Fight's like Joust.
Is it? Okay. I mean, really, that's the game. You try to shoot your opponent more than he shoots you. Yeah. That's a game.
Yeah. What makes this game fun is the physics engine. Because you are your own worst enemy 90% of the time in this game. You don't have to worry about the computer player because it's very easy for you to, not only is it difficult to take off because you've got the tree at the end of the runway, but once you get going, you will stall out if you don't keep enough forward momentum.
Yeah.
Your plane, it controls well, but it's a very exact control scheme for sure.
Yeah, and you can go up a little ways. The screen will move a little bit in every direction, but there's two definite ends. There are cunningly, aside from the tree in front of the runway, there's also a sheer cliff behind the runway that you have to not hit. You can hit any of the trees along the way. But I will say, once you're playing this and you get going, there's something incredibly satisfying about keeping your kite up in the air.
Oh yeah, the fact that they made the taking off so difficult that once you do master it, you really feel like you're awesome just even doing that.
Yeah, and you could shoot almost straight up. And go.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of only partially realistic gravity.
This is one of these games that rewards the player for doing. For doing small actions.
Yeah.
You want to feel as a player, you want to feel empowered. You want to feel like you're a badass. And this game, when you master the control scheme, which does take a little bit of time, you really feel like you're doing something more than piloting a ship in a normal game.
And what I like, yes, can you go and bomb your buddy's runway? Absolutely. But what's great is if you're really good, you could actually hit your buddy with bombs while he's in the air. That's ultra satisfying.
Right.
You bomb him out of the sky.
Absolutely.
I love that. I mean, we gotta rein it back a little bit. This is a simple game, you just shoot and fight.
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot to it. But in terms of a fun multiplayer game, it's fun. I mean, we had a blast. We played this thing for about half
an hour.
nonstop. And when it was over, we were mad because we had to quit.
Right.
That right there tells you, and he hates everything.
Yeah, I do.
And he loved this. It looked good. It sounded good. It was the total package on this one. There apparently was a Dogfight 1.0. I don't know what got changed. It came out in April, and this one came out a little bit later. This is according to what I read from the blurb. Dogfight is a post-cardware developed and published game. I don't know what that means.
I think Postcardware might be the publishing company.
I don't know.
I don't know. On Lemon, it said publisher was unknown, so I just listed the author's name here.
Right, and of course, the little blurb, it talks about you becoming one of the 20-minuters. Well, that's about right. And it mentions you might not make it for 20 seconds. That's also right.
Yeah.
So they've scaled down the time. If you're not familiar, they were, what was the average lifespan of a World War I pilot was 20 minutes in the air.
Yeah.
So if you've ever watched Blackadder season 4, there's a great episode where they all become flyers. That's one thing that reminds me of. If you can imagine Baldrick flying a plane. This appeared on the CU Amiga cover for 1997.
Wow. So they dug it out of the basement to.
So apparently, and this was up on AmiNet for a while. So now I've got the first release year as 90, but I've got this being published in 95. So I don't know if he sat, the
Maybe,
first version.
maybe
I don't know what.
sat on
I don't know what exactly. This one is a strange game in general, and the fact that the guy never did anything else that we know of is also strange because he was obviously a talented programmer.
Right.
And it would be awesome if you're going to ever go back and fiddle with something. If you could add another player to this. What would be? I'll tell you what. Here's what I would take, Bode. How about a game of this that I can play on that online Amiga thing? That'd be cool.
It is. It's already.
Oh, this is already up there. How about a game where you could have 10 players on the screen? That'd be awesome.
That would be chaos.
Bigger. Yeah, that's what I want. Absolute chaos.
This game would be almost perfect with the addition of 2 things.
All right.
Thing 1, AI, so you can play by yourself.
All right, I agree.
Thing 2, an adjustable time limit. I want to play for 3 minutes. Whoever's got the most kills at the end of 3 minutes.
Yeah, because it never stops.
Yeah, it never stops. That's such an oversight for a game that has so many awesome things and attention to detail. I can't imagine. I would love to ask Richard why he didn't put a time limit on this.
I would like to just talk to this guy and ask him where's the rest of it, dude? You can do more. You can do more. The truth of the matter is, this is all the things you need to make a good game without actually finishing the game. There's plenty more you could have done to make this more fun. I mean, you could actually have made this a legitimate game.
I don't know. You can easily, if you start adding things, you can easily take away from the fun pretty quick.
Well, I'm talking simple stuff. Like you said, the AI. I would like to see different areas to fly in.
Yeah, different
that would be
stages.
Fun, different weather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the thing is, with an engine like this, you could have really done like one-player mission stuff.
Sure.
Like a choplifter type.
Yeah, it would be cool if they could introduce a landing mechanic. That's one thing you don't do in this game is land, except for crash landing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've landed a bunch of times, just not didn't walk
right.
away.
But I agree with you.
The people, this only had one review, and that was the people on Lemon, and they gave this one an 8. So I think I would probably go 8. And again, it's kind of grade this one on a curve because, I mean, realistically, you could kill this game. It's only got 2 players. If you don't have another buddy, you're boned. But I'll tell you what, me and the kid had fun playing it, and me and you had a great time playing it.
This is a game on paper you'd think would be awful, but once you play it, it's
just fun.
Great.
It's just fun.
We got a couple Discord reviews. Graham Vebke says, this is a single-player game. It is not. So after bribing my children, I had an opponent. The hardest thing is controlling the plane without it stalling. Yeah, that's true. Especially on takeoff, as you need to avoid that tree at the end of the runway. The shooting is okay, and it goes mostly where you aim, and the cannon at the opponent's base takes you out when you least expect it. Shame it didn't have more of a variety of planes or settings.
Variety of planes. That'd be good too.
And after about 20 minutes or so of play and quite a bit of laughing, my opponent was bored with it. Until next time. 6.5 out of 10. Chris Fold says, I have no friends, no one likes me, so I couldn't play it.
Aw.
Question mark out of 10.
We love you, Chris.
Yeah. And Pixels at Dawn says, taking the formula delivered by biplanes and adding better graphics, a scrolling screen, bombs, and some AI elements, I still find myself preferring the single-screen, copper-hued original for its simplicity and tight gameplay. Nothing wrong with this new version, but the additions don't really add much, and I think the split screen actually muddies the gameplay loop a little.
Well, so maybe that's what the change. I never played the original. I just played the newest. Did you play 1? Is that what he's talking about?
No, he's talking about biplanes.
Oh, okay. I never played that either.
We played it on Amigathon.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, it's just like this, except the graphics are a lot more simple.
This is. I don't say. I
that
like,
one looks more like Atari 2600 graphics.
This right here, I like the scrolling. I really do.
Me too.
I think that adds a lot to it.
Yeah. This is easily in my top 10 Amiga games, easily.
Okay.
Speaking of which, Aaron, before we finish up this week's show, we got a listener question from the one and only Pack Billy. Pack Billy says, have you and Aaron ever listed your favorite and least favorite genres on the show? You mention them here and there, but it would be interesting to get your definitive lists.
Okay.
So, favorite genre?
Probably arcade action. Does that count as a genre?
Sure.
I like.
So something that would be at home in an arcade.
That's right. I like games like Donkey Kong or Mappy or Galaga stuff. I like a game where I can't. My attention span and the time I have to give something is short.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have. So I kind of dig those the most. I like fighting games. I like those too. Mostly arcadey type stuff. Would be my stuff. I know everything else, sports and driving. I mean, it's okay. But if I had to pick my favorite, it'd probably be like arcade action.
Okay. How about least favorite?
RPGs, Japanese RPGs would be my least favorite. I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, that's far and away my least favorite. I don't have the time to get into them, so those I don't like. What about you?
My favorite games are weird concept games / life simulation games.
All right.
So let me give you some examples. Like School Days,
Yeah.
where you play as a kid. I hate games where you have to go out and save the world from an alien. Okay? It's been done.
I don't mind them if that has nothing to do with the actual game.
I like
I mean?
Trash Man for the ZX Spectrum. I'm listed above Spectrum games. Little Computer People. Games that simulate sort of real life activities, I find to be extremely pleasurable. I also, like you, enjoy arcade-inspired games where you can quickly get in and get out.
Yeah.
And sort of high score / time challenges, things like that.
Yeah.
My least favorite games, without a doubt, are first-person perspective role-playing games. Things like Dungeon Master, the Hound of Shadows.
Hound of Shadows was text.
No, Hound of Shadows.
It just had pictures up there.
Right. Anything where you've got a first-person's perspective and you're sort of plodding through an environment one frame at a time.
What about more modern versions of those?
They're still not my favorite. Like for example, the Elder Scrolls games.
Right.
I probably played a billion hours of those, but I played a good percentage of it looking over the shoulder. There's just something about being able to see my guy in the world that I like.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
I also dislike any kind of overly complex strategy games where you have to think really, really far in the future.
Yeah.
To me, the line between that and actually doing like a work type job is very, very thin.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I would also put a lot of puzzle games in that list too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, if I had to pick my bottom three in particular order, the worst JRPGs and some RPGs, and then next would be strategy, and next would be puzzle games. I mean, that's not saying there's nothing in there that I like, but they're
right.
Three. I mean, we've played some deep strategy games, and I never feel like I've got a good grasp of them. It's a lot like playing board games at Jamie's.
Yeah.
Our buddy, every week is a new board game, and by God, it's hard to grasp the last week's board game. I'm not ready for the new one yet.
I feel exactly the same way.
So when you try to do this, and luckily they usually give us some heads up on the show, so we can sit down. But like I said, I mentioned it last week that I kept playing that Lords of Chaos game, and now I feel like I'm finally getting a good grip on what's going on with it. But I mean, that's trying to absorb that in a week is difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so those are tough. Sim Life comes to mind.
Oh.
Yeah.
We also got some feedback last week from Edvin Helland. We were talking about vacation time and how all the Scandinavians get 6 to 7 years of vacation a year. He said, you mentioned I had 5 weeks mandatory vacation. I don't, since I'm in the private sector. I only have 4 weeks, but I can have 5 if I want. He says the system here is that vacation pay is deducted by your employer the previous year, 10% in my job. But if I want 5 weeks, you're deducted 12% so that you have enough money to finance your holiday. So you actually get holiday pay from last year's deduction. So
It's an interesting system.
yeah, absolutely. So thanks for that info, Edwin. Last week, our supporter song, Aaron, you chose it. Yellow Submarine by the Rolling Stones. Pixels at Dawn got that one right. Gary
That was
Heather,
super easy.
Kate Fox, Jason Warnes, Eric Nelson, and Edvin Helland. Congratulations, one and all. This week, Aaron has selected another song for me.
In fact, I'm writing it down right now.
He's writing it down right now. If you know the answer to this week's Patreon song, feel free to write me a message at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will read your name on the air. We do have a new Patreon supporter this week. We want to give a special welcome to Mike W. I believe he's known on Twitter as Ultra Magnus TCV. So thank
Fancy.
you. Thank you for joining us as an Amigo supporter, Mike.
You know that one?
No.
You're kidding me.
I only know the chorus, the hook. Do you know the verse? Could you sing the verse
Every
to that
single
song?
bit of it. Every single bit I could.
All right.
I think I'll come up with another
Okay.
one. Keep reading.
So I guess we'll just talk about what's coming up next week on the Amigos. I believe that this is some sort of another strategy game. It's sort of a real-time, turn-based strategy. I don't know anything about it. It's called Damocles Mercenary 2. Damocles is like the sword of Damocles.
Yeah,
but I still don't know what that means, though. It's just something I've heard.
Well, I don't know either. I don't know anything about this game. I've never heard the first one either.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Did you just shake your stylus as if to put more ink into it?
That's right. Are you going to go over the site videos this week?
Well, I think we could. All right. I'm not going to do that this week. I'll do that next week since we just did one of those from those people.
Okay, do whatever you want then.
All
bud.
right. Mike W. Decker 3 Wood, Gary Heather Free Lunch Kate Fox, David Pickford Cameron Armstrong, Andrew Jones Lobsterminator, Craig McClellan Timid Amiga Retrocast, Counterwing Virtual She, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man K. Tim Drew, Simon Rose Joseph Harrison, Kyle Letter, Rob O'Hara, Howard, Nims Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig Shonzo, Darren Lomax, Colin 419, Barkbit, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf Killon, Alec Kabam, Checote, Level Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy Figure, see this low, Norris, Stefan Sergord, Mortensen, Evan Helen, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Foles, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Vebke, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tapes from the Crib, Josh Nant, and Brett and Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THE, Eric Nelson, Kim, Tommy, Humbertstein, Daniel Bigston, Brutal, Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warnes, Pixels at Dawn, Kjolbjorn Barman.
I got no idea on that one.
I'll tell you after the show. You'll know it
Okay.
once I tell you. All right, guys. We will see you next week for Damocles Mercenary 2. Maybe next week we'll be back on our normal schedule. I believe we'll be back on our normal schedule of taping live at 5:30 Eastern time here in the United States. We want to thank all the fine folks in the chat hanging out with us. Duncan Styles, Necronom, Figgy, Pixels at Dawn, Lobsterminator, Paul Bossman Harrington's in the house, Necronom. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We will see you next week. Until then, Adios.